saying I am so impressed with the level of competition right now. The level of athlete that you go so deep into the field and seeing how their fitness is up and how good the bikes are. So I'm going to throw it over to Wardy. I'm going to talk about different people. Let's talk about Eli Tomac. Obviously, the guy right now. Great. To me, Wardy, he doesn't look like a guy in his 30s at the end of his career. He's racing like a young kid.
For sure. I mean, I retired at 32, so he's 33? Yeah, so I was definitely not at that level when I was 32 years old. I don't know if it's the training or just how things are done these days. I mean, I do a lot of cycling, a lot of long distance stuff, and there's a lot more stuff out there to help your body move along and recover. And yeah, Eli, I'm a big fan of Eli. He's been my guy for a long. We used to go to his house and train with my kids, and I've known Johnny T for so long. And so I've always known him as a mini bike rider and his mentality and how he was training. I used to go, I went there when I was in Supermoto and rode with him and just see how his work ethic, and that definitely comes from his dad. But he is just totally zoned in, and yeah, the way he's riding this year is, God, I mean, he looks as good as he ever has. Almost better. I think he's matured. I think he's in a better place to where he has no stress about winning or not winning. Like when you're wanting to get championships, there's that pressure of having to get it. And then I think that injury year got him hungry again. And I feel he's back on mentally better than he. I don't think we'll see any of the races that we used to see out of him where he gets ninth place and you're wondering what the hell happened.
Right.
You know,
I think the mental.
When he gets the third place start and ends up ninth, I don't think we're going to see that again because I just think he's in his head. He's not pressured anymore, and I think and you saw that at Anaheim 1 when he went down. I mean, he went from the back. He was the only guy we watched.
Right.
The whole time. I mean, Jet was back there, but Eli was just cutting through everybody, and I see it. I feel like he's the guy to beat this year, just because of the mistakes he's not going to have that he used to maybe have in the past.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I thought when he had his injury, my brother had that happen. He's playing basketball, so I kind of knew a little bit about what happens, how hard that is to fix, how hard it is to come back from, and all that. I thought that was it. And see him win a couple of motos or whatever it was last year was cool, but that race this past weekend, man, how good was that? That was. He didn't get the start, but you could see Jet right there, like, okay, well, there he is, and it's probably going to come down to us. I think what he was thinking. That's what I thought. And then just rail the sand and got him. Yeah. That was something. And the pressure, you know, Jet, whatever he did, Jet matched it, and Eli must have felt like he's going to put on a push here somewhere. And it looked to me like about the time that I was expecting to see Jet like really get in there and put the pressure on, Eli went. I don't know if he meant to do that, but that was a good move. I think that kind of helped him, especially when he caught up the freeze and all that. But yeah, the way he's riding, it looks like he's riding that 450 like it's a 252 stroke. He's got all kinds of aggression. He's precise enough, and like you said, I think he's solid enough to where he's not going to make foolish mistakes, and he can come from the back up to the front. And what's his weakness? I don't think there is one at this point. So that's what I'm impressed with.
Yeah.
When I watched him before, Eli's been known for one to really drop the hammer. I mean, nobody hits the gas harder. Maybe Ricky Carmichael did. But when I watched him go to Europe and do those supercrosses, and I watched what was great is they did time qualifying, and they did like a solo lap or 2 laps or something like that. And I watched how he adapted a little bit of Jet Lawrence's style of rolling the gas on sooner, but not as like the cadence is slower. And as he comes into the corner, as he's starting to set, he's already on the gas. And for him to have the mental to process that, how fast he's going through the corner to the exit, I think that being in Europe, I feel, really helped pick up his game because he could really stack himself up against Ken Roczen and see where he was going. He obviously did really well over there. So I agree with both these guys. I'm a huge Eli Tomac fan. for a lot of reasons. One is his longevity. Two, I watched his career. I had the pleasure of working with him when he was a kid on 80s. But the family unit that he has just is so solid with his dad and his mom and his wife and his kids. And I think Eli is probably the least affected with fame. If you notice, he doesn't have Bentleys and Mercedes and Porsches and all that bullshit. This guy is a racer, and when he's done racing, he's going to go fishing. And I think that is going to be important. That the distractions. You guys were very good at not being distracted. Wardy, you had your plan and you stuck to it when you raced.
Yeah, I mean, there's a goal, and you just do what it takes to. There was no time for anything. I mean, a lot of guys would go to the river, they'd take their boat out, the weekend off, and I was racing a local race the weekend in between. So it was just a matter of your focus and what, you put in front of you and the task you had. I mean, that's what Tomac's done, and yeah, it's amazing what he's doing this year. So I think it's just, everything's clicking right now. I mean, it just seems like he's just in a good place. So I would, I don't see anything. I mean, just hope everybody that's out there right now that's racing all stays healthy, because I think it's going to be a really good year.
Yeah, I think that at this stage of his life, I just watched an interview with him, a really long interview on that podcast.
Yeah.
And I thought I knew.
He's having fun.
Yeah.
I've never seen Eli talk like that before. I mean, he was really open before. He would never tell you anything.
Yeah.
Now he's telling you everything. So he's just in a different mindset, which is
So
it's
he
very
made
scary
me,
for everybody else.
Yeah, after watching that, I feel like I got to know him a little bit more, and I can see why he's solid. And that was right like 2 days before the first race. And he's fast. And then probably if his front end didn't wash out in the corner, he might have won that one, but he came from behind and then he wins this one and convincing. I've won before, but something happened to you guys, and during the week after that, I didn't feel like I was going to win the next one. I was like, I think I got a gift. Who knows how hard it's going to be next time? I don't think Eli feels that right now. He's coming from the back, he's won from the front with pressure. He's at a point in his life where he doesn't have any, he's kind of learning things, he's already learned it, and Jet, who can probably beat him, is going through all the growing pains of figuring out how to deal with success and fame and all the stuff, and expectations and bands, and maybe that'll, put it back to the advantage Eli.
So, and then the first race winner, Chase Sexton, who I think, he reminds me of David Bailey. He was even when he's running the damn number 23. He would just, Chase is, I think, physical specimen-wise, I think he's the perfect guy. He's a little bit bigger than the other guys, so he uses his leverage well. He's in phenomenal physical shape, and he looks really comfortable on the bike. Now, I didn't think he got up quick enough when he fell down, and it seemed like
in the sand.
Yeah, he lollygagged a little bit, and then it took him a little bit to get going. Where Eli took off and was able to make it to fifth, but he did make it back to seventh. But one of the things that I was so impressed with Sexton was how comfortable he and his bike. Like you and I sat with each other in Anaheim. In Anaheim, it just through the sand, through the corners. He stalled at one time. But I think he's got the package to beat both of those guys. But is the mental game going to be there?
Well, that's always been his problem. Has been the mental game, and then what makes it even matters worse is you have Tomac that doesn't have a mental problem.
Right.
So that's what you got to look at. I know he's got Webb and those other guys involved, but Chase, we just talked about Eli having his problems too. The past races where he would get up eighth, and we haven't seen a year where he hasn't gone through that. He's done it every year. So these first two races he had, but Chase has always been the same way. And he's led races and crashed with a lap to go, 2 laps to go, and he's done it a number of times. So, and he had an issue in San Diego last week. It hurt him, but I like you said, we watched him ride, and he's probably one of the most talented guys out there, and he doesn't look like he's going fast, but then when you see the lap time, he's the fastest guy. There's where Tomac, he's going fast. And you can just see it every second. Where you watch Chase, you don't even think he's on his best lap, and the next thing you know, it pops up, he's P1. So we know as riders, it's not as easy as it looks. He knows he's going wide open. It's just the way he positions himself on the bike. And same as Jet. Jet's probably a little more aggressive, I think, than even Chase on the bike pushing. But Yeah, like I said, I just hope all these guys stay healthy because you can. There's 5 or 6 guys that can win a main event. And it all depends on the starts. And that's another thing Eli's got. He's been since that Yamaha. He has been getting good starts. If he gets out the gate, and I was even thinking Anaheim when he went down. You know how you're saying he probably might have won it, but then he might have not given the effort he gave after falling, and then realizing I can do 20 minutes flat out and be faster than all these guys. So then San Diego, he was able to do that because it was amazing in San Diego that those two went toe-to-toe, qualifying lap time for 20 minutes.
David?
Yeah, I was watching some of the preparation in Sexton. He was up in Santa Barbara or wherever, and there was a lot of weight training, a lot of cycling, some running, coffee, surfing. I saw everything but riding. And for me, it was riding was number one. And maybe he didn't want people to see him riding, or I don't know what the reason was, but I had my doubts. But then when I saw Jet and Eli top of the board in practice and qualifying in Anaheim, top of the board, and Jet's faster, then Eli's faster, and then Sexton was faster. Wow, okay. And he did it again in San Diego. So he's got the speed, and he's probably bummed out at how that went, so he's going to come back and it'll be tough. But mentally, what Eli put up with Jet right there, he's solid, and he has the speed, he has experience, and I think Jet's going to be good.
Oh yeah.
But it's Sexton, if mentally he can just somehow it can click for him to where he's like, I'm not as worried as I used to be. Because I saw before the starting line at San Diego, the camera went to him and he was just staring like, I know that look. I'm not sure if that's the look, but I think I know that look. And it's like, I hate this part. This is so agony. And like you're dreading it, but until the gate drops, then you're fine. And so having the right attitude moments before the gate, when the 30-second board doesn't go up, when it's like at 10, 9, like I can put it in gear pretty soon. And this first like 5 or 6 feet is going to determine the race maybe. And then if that doesn't go quite right, then it's what happens in the first half a lap. How do you Ken Roczen your way through all that? Sexton, I think mentally, from what I've seen, if he can figure that out, those guys got a problem because he's perfect.
Well, what I liked about Sexton is normally he's very high and very low. And when I saw him, I think it was the interview after San Diego, he's very realistic about what he needs to do to be better each week. Because I'll tell you, from when I would get beat by David or I would get beat by Jeff, I had the attitude that they're not better than me. They did something better this weekend. And that may sound like, braggadocious and that, but I had to have that attitude that I'm better than you. I just didn't do something right. And because they both had whipped my ass thoroughly. And that's the thing that I watch. My theory was just go out and fix whatever the problem was. If I need to pull up on my starts a little bit, if I need to work on my cornering a little bit, after Houston when I cased it, I need to work on my jumping and things like that. So that was the way, when you guys beat me, how I came back after you. Wardy, what was your mentality? Because I got you a couple times good, but it was never 2 weeks in a row. You were always there, same with you, David. You were always there, a better jump forward the next week. How did you accomplish that?
Yeah, just like you said. I mean, you analyze the race that you just had, and I had a lot of times where I would count my mistakes, and then we do the lap times, and I'd see what seconds I would lose, and when you add that up, but I made 6 mistakes, and I lost 10 seconds, but then I only lost the race by 5. So if I stopped those 2 or 3 mistakes that I was doing because it was just stupid mistakes, then I would be right on you. I mean, granted, the other riders make mistakes too, but that I can't worry about the other riders.
Right.
So if I could clean those up, and that's what would go the next week, I just work on stuff to where more mentally coming in, not worrying so much about having to ride the track to the peak of its level or the bike, but just not make those mistakes on the other part of the sections that I knew I probably wasn't great at because I wasn't the best through the hoop sections. And so I minimize my damage and then make it up somewhere else in the tighter corners, or if it's a straightaway, or where I was better at, and because I'd always try to force something to catch up to you, but I'd take one step forward, 2 steps back, and if I didn't do that, I would be able to stay closer to it, then I'd be able to get to the part of the track where I was better and maybe be able to make the pass. And if you watch some of our races, that's kind of how we always go, it jockey back and forth. And so that was, the motivation was, nobody wanted to get second. I mean, we all wanted to win, everybody that was out there. And, definitely I hated losing more than I liked winning, so I think we all did that. Nobody liked going home from the racetrack, flying home with whoever. It just sucked. You just couldn't wait to get to the next. The race couldn't come fast enough by the next week because you knew what you did and why you lost, and so then you go to the next race.
Super motivated, like right after the race, like man, if the race could be right now. And then by like Thursday, you're like, gosh, I wish I could feel like I did Monday. Always. Then it starts over again, and it's like that's the thing that you're chasing it.
And then until you get to the track and then you see his mug, and then you get right back to that. I'm gonna kick ass again.
Fucking asshole.
Oh yeah, that's why I was pissed off on Monday.
That's why.
I would be when we were battling in '86. I would do a start and pretend like if I did a good start, okay, I'm in the lead and you guys are behind me. If I made any mistake, and I knew if I made a mistake, there's no one out there. My dog was watching from next to the woods. No one else, by myself in Axon, Virginia. Nervous, like visualizing the whole scene. If I made a mistake, then you got me. And I'd have to do something real extra special to get you back. And then in my mind, I'm having this race, like what position am I in and how many mistakes have I made? It's funny you're saying the same thing. And so I would ride like that. I'd do 20 laps and it had to be perfect. If I made a mistake, I had to make up for it. And if I didn't win, I'd be honest with myself and go, I got beat. I got to work harder. So I'm going to, put it away today and come out tomorrow and try to fix that stuff. So I would try to train. I didn't do that till last year, where I was like mentally trying to figure out how to put myself in a position I was probably going to end up in, and then be able to sort of manage it because I practiced it. And that's what kind of got me to the next level. And I don't know what they do now, but it's up here. Mm-hmm. They all are fast, but mentally, that's the difference.
All right, so I'm going to tell you guys a quick practice story. The people that were at Anaheim 1 know the story, but you weren't there. Jeff and I were racing 500s, and there's a place called the Flower Track. And everyone tells you never go ride by yourself. Well, ironically, the two guys leading the 500, two guys dicing for the 500 championship. I roll into the Flower Track, and who do I see? Somebody in the back of his truck getting dressed. And so we drive by. Fucking nod. Like, shit's about to get real, all right? So, of course, I don't park right next to him because that would force me to have to talk to him and probably be polite and whatever. So I pull over about the width of this barn away from him, and he's getting dressed and I'm getting dressed. I unload the bike, and so he's out there for about 2 laps before I am. And I jump on the 500. It's really slick, and it's in California, hard pack, no water. So there's not a lot of throttle, right? So we got both of us got our bikes topped off. And I take off, he takes off, and there was a road crossing where you could jump down it or you could jump up it. Well, ironically, I would be going down or he was going up one way or the other, and we were like identical, lap after lap after lap. And then I would see him like he would, oh shit, he accelerated a little hard because we're going as fast as we could possibly go on the slick track, and then I would gain a little bit on him. Then I would get too happy, then I would lose the front wheel, then he would gain on me. We did this back and forth, and how we were out there.
I ran out of gas. So it was like 50 minutes. I wasn't going to pull in because he was pulling in. There was no way he was going to let me go 2 laps more. I had to push my bike back. And that was the day that was the flower track. The thing is, we could only see each other really at that crossing because it was in this valley, and the flower track, because it was a flower field with a great
grew flowers and sold them. So somebody made this track in there that was only maybe like, what, 3 feet, 4 feet wide?
Yeah, it was just east of Carlsbad, very small.
Yeah, so you could really only see each other in a couple little spots on the track. So yeah, we were just nose and tail just for 50 minutes. It was hotter than hell, and I ran out of gas. Then I came in so then he could come in because he went the extra 2 laps though because he knew I went 2 laps before. But he didn't do it as fast. I think he thought the bike was
I was sitting down, relaxing, going,
oh, thank God.
thank God.
So
I wish he would just die. No way. I just hope that I would see him like injured. Like, Woody, are you okay? Are you going to make it this weekend? Hopefully not. You know? But yeah, so probably one of our greatest races, and we didn't hit each other, and nobody got to see him.
We never said bye or
Nope.
nothing. I loaded up and left because it was too hot to ride a second one. I mean, it was like the last Thursday before we left, so you didn't want to overdo it. Because I wanted to do maybe 2 20-minute motos because it was hotter than crap, and we were leaving to go to the race that weekend. But we showed out and did the moto of death.
So they just loaded up and just drove off.
That interview I watched with Eli, one of the questions was, who's been your toughest guy? Like, you know, from when you first got going and started going for championships till today, and it was Ken. And I was like, yeah, that's true. It seems like it has been from 255 up to 450. Ken has like the real delicate cat-like reflex. It's like a feather on a bike. Gets real mushy and ride, and he seems to miss it all and just float over it. So his technical skill is amazing. And like you, Jeff, I mean, he just is really smart. He's been around a long time. He knows how to manage that speed and that effort, when to pass, when to lay up, when to, like in the beginning of the race, just go, get everybody. And he puts himself in good positions, and he doesn't push a bad position anymore. So, I mean, I think he's going to be capable of racing with those guys sometimes. I'm not sure if he can beat them all, but I don't know.
Triple Crown stuff will be good.
Absolutely. Good point.
Yeah.
So he'll be fast and I think capable of running with those guys, but beating them, I don't know if he expects it. I'm not sure. I think that's a good question.
I mean, I know Kenny a little bit. I trained Cole Seeley when he was at the factory with Honda, so we were up at the test track a lot. And the reason why he is where he is because the guy's dedicated to his program. I mean, he has a certain thing that he needs to put there, and he does the work. And I think that's why what I always keep thinking is how scary it would be if he never got hurt.
Yeah.
At Anaheim. I mean, that guy was on a roll winning, 2 races in a row. It was going to be the 3rd race because I was working with Seeley, and Seeley was leading when it happened. It was just a matter of time until he got by him. But yeah, that injury, who knows where he'd be at right now, but to come back from the stuff, and then the next one even after that. So who knows where he'd be at. So props off to him for sticking around as long as he has. But he's not out of it, for sure. I mean, he hasn't had the best. I mean, he got second in A1, which he rode phenomenal. Didn't have the best race, but you can see him coming back at another race, even like a Triple Crown, and getting the overall for
I
a
think
race.
your point, because he is good at starts. He's quick, really fast right off the bat. So I agree. I think he's going to be right there all year long.
I'm not counting out Webb.
No, I was just going to bring it up.
Because I've counted him out before too many times. Like and this is probably the best year I've ever seen him. Because usually you hear the hype at Webb, and then all of a sudden he gets 8th or 7th, and he just didn't look impressive at the beginning of the season. But then he always comes on and he's there in the championship. And this year I think he's started off the best he ever has. And even they say they're sick, which I believe. And he still rode great last week. And he gets better when they go East Coast because of the dirt. Yeah. Because the lines changed, because he can change lines up, and a lot of guys, even Tomac sticks to lines sometimes when he should change. He'll bowl some outside corners when he gets rougher, and you can see the guy's making time, and he's not one to really change lines a lot. I think even at San Diego when he went on the outside to do the pass, he kept doing that and was getting caught by Jet. And then the one lap, the rider went to the outside, and he had to go to the inside, and then he realized that this line's faster. So he would have kept that outside, and Jet would have probably got him in another lap or so, and then he would have changed it. But Eli likes to stick to where I think Webb is probably one of the most versatile guys of finding the best line of the track for his ability. He's kind of like I was. I wasn't the best in the hoops, but he finds a way to make it work, and then he makes it up everywhere else in the tight stuff.
What I like about Webb is his racecraft. I mean, he gives you just enough room to hang yourself on the inside or the outside. He's very aware of where the guys are around him. He's not afraid to mix it up. He's not afraid to bang with guys, even though he's not a real big guy. He can be very physical when he needs to. So I agree with what you're saying, is that we got to keep our eye on him, because all he needs is a couple tenths per corner or per whoop section or whatever, and we're going to see him right there, David.
Yeah, Webb is fundamentally dialed. Like his foundation is so solid. He doesn't really seem to have a weakness other than just raw speed. He's not usually at the top of the board, but it doesn't matter. And I heard a quote from the guy that got me kind of turned around and raised the wheelchairs and stuff. He won the Boston Marathon 5 times in that division, and he goes, Bailey, it's not the guy that's the fastest that wins. It's the guy that slows down the least.
That's true.
Jeff has that. You look at it, that's kind of what it is. You're trying to limit your mistakes. And Webb's sharp. He's been around a long time. My dad worked with him a lot when he was younger. And to see his performance at Anaheim was pretty solid. And then he did better than San Diego with Ken breathing down his neck. And I thought, if Ken gets by, it's going to be like you guys at the flower track. It'll be a mental loss. And he stepped it up, sick and all. And I think that probably did a little something for him. The longer he stays with these guys in this championship, the more dangerous he's going to be, and they're going to know it.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to talk about the big pink elephant in the room, or should I say big pink kangaroo. Jet Lawrence, I mean, the kid is phenomenal. I mean, I met him 5 years ago. I was out at Paula, they were testing, and I introduced myself, and he didn't know who I was. No big deal. No, I'm not trying to be an asshole. And so I said, how you doing, Rick? And Johnny was talking to me, and Trey Kennard. And I said to him, I really want to compliment you because I like what you got going on. You have kind of a little bit of everything. I said, when Johnny was racing, he had everything really soft, and it was really technique. Like, I could not ride his bike, it was so soft. I said, and I kind of like hammered stuff, but you seem to have the right combination of everything when you need it. And I said, and he said something to me that just blew my mind, because he was 18 years old at the time. And he said, yeah, I was riding Trey's bike, because Trey's doing a lot of the testing on the factory bikes. And he says, I didn't like Trey's setup because I couldn't quite feel the front wheel through the corner. I didn't have the traction that I was looking for. And I thought, wow, I was like 23, 24 years old, multiple championships before I was talking about front wheel traction that way. You know what I mean? Because when you got on shows, it changed your game quite a bit. But for his ability to read traction and read terrain, then as I watch it, you watch his connection between the throttle and the back wheel is phenomenal. His roost seems to always be about, a few inches shorter than everybody, because he's not overdoing it. You rarely see him lose the back wheel. He's so smooth and so connected. That's the positive side. The negative side is I feel that he's a little emotional. He's talking about, they had to go to Australia because he got booed from spectators and somebody didn't like him and all the different stuff. Guess what? You're going to be hated. I mean, his fans hated me, my fans hated him, his fans hated me, his mom hated me, my mom hated him. That's the way it was. But so you get used. When we would go to Italy, we had to stay away from the fence because we didn't want to get grabbed, by spectators who want to rip your goggles off and stuff. So I think that he needs to limit distractions. And I look at what this kid has: Bentleys and Porsches and MTV cribs through the moon. And now he's gotten fucked over by his manager stealing money from him. It's a tough time, man. When you're at the peak where he's at, which not many people have ever felt it. It's a fine tipping point. He's got to get control of the rest of it to be the best racer that he can be. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he can't get flustered because he has that little bit of that mentality, because I was training Shimoda when he was on the lights. So we would be out there at the same time, and Shimoda's an excellent, I mean, he was a rookie year. He couldn't go through the hoops that well in the first parts. We were going around him and he got it going, but Joe would throw down some lap times, at testing and Jed had to be like, perfect. And if he made a mistake, you could hear him cussing. He'd pull off the track. He was young and he let some, little things kind of get to him. And I mean, maybe this is kind of part of that playing into that. I mean, certainly he's come a long ways. I mean, he's definitely the most talented probably guy on a motorcycle I've seen in a long time. Yeah. But like you said, it's up in the brain, and if he's letting things get to him off the track, I mean, we've all been there with just anything that flusters you, no matter what it is. Your performance sometimes, doesn't help you when you get on the track. But yeah, he's got a lot of things going on right now, and he's got Eli going on, which I don't think anybody really expected, or maybe he didn't. So I think he's got maybe a wake-up call, like this is going to be harder than I thought. And then having some of the outside distractions never helps. It's how everything how this has to be perfect, and then that one little snag comes in, and then all of a sudden you feel tight riding for whatever reason, and you don't know why, and then it kind of snowballs. And but yeah, I think he's going to win a ton of races this year. I know it's only the second race of the year. I think everybody's probably expecting. He probably was, because he talked about doing an unbeaten season. And I don't know why you put that pressure on yourself when you go in thinking you're going to win every race when you got the caliber of guys. I never said that in my life, that I was going to win 10 in a row against you or David and Johnny. And so you put a lot of pressure on yourself making those statements, and you kind of got to eat it for a little bit, and you are going to get bad press because of it, and expect to get, I told you so type of thing. But he'll bounce back and win, and then, it'll be game on again.
David?
Yeah, there's he's been asked the question a lot. He's always like, all the distractions, but I grew up that way, so I'm used to it. Every time I see him on the track, he carries more momentum through a bull turn. He'll land off a triple, and everyone else, he's kind of getting in the habit of this is the speed. He's just going a little bit faster everywhere. It's momentum, and especially on a press day, it's hard to tell from YouTube, but if you guys are there, if I go tomorrow, when you listen to the press day and it's quiet, you just hear each individual guy on the throttle. Jet's the quietest. He barely gasses it. He's really smooth with the throttle. He's super smart. I've tried to pick Johnny's brain a little bit before about what's going on, what's he like and stuff, and he won't say anything. So I just have to guess, and my guess is that he thinks he's going to be the best. And so to put that goal out there, if I want to have a perfect season, I want to win, I want to break Jeremy's record, is kind of like permission to focus on that instead of all the other stuff and the Rolls Royce and the cool pool table and the number on it and all that stuff. I think when the gate drops,
there's a lot of jealousy when we both talk about that. Let's just be clear. I was like, that's fucking rad. I wish I had that. But anyways, I like room in my house. But Christmas, if Santa Claus is listening, I mean, I saw that video. I'm like, God damn it! I won a championship and got a $100,000 bonus, and I thought I was rich. Like, I'm set, and I can't even imagine what money he makes. I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about it, but millions. Yeah. And he's young, and everything's new, and girls, and all this stuff. So I think he's got really lofty goals because he recognizes the talent. Johnny's probably reminded him of that talent. And he's going, if I just put my mind on something that's like really out there and great, then maybe that'll help me, this other stuff will start to fade to the back. Yeah, I would go the other route. I remember writing letters to myself, I would 5 races to go, and you're looking at your points lead, and you're like, well, if I get 5th every race, I'm still going to win the championship. And he would just lose his mind. He goes, it's real simple. Win every race, and the championship falls in line. Just focus on that. And so for me, when I'm racing in Baja and stuff like that, I'm out there for 6, 10 hours or whatever, and I have to go back to that. Because I think we've all done that where we're counting our money when you're out in front, like everything's great, I'm gonna win that championship, I'm gonna get the 10,000 bonus from that, boom, fall on your ass. You're like, damn it. because you're thinking too far ahead. And so when I started doing that in motocross, it was just go as fast as I can every corner, just maximize every corner. And when we're practicing and when we're testing, just go fast all the time, so it becomes second nature. And so I think for him, he just needs to go be fastest qualifier, win the heat race, win that, and don't worry about that. And I thought that's what was going to happen when he had a bad day. But we'll see. There's a lot of, as I said, there's a lot going on with that kid. But as far as his talent, he is over the moon.
He's the best rider I've seen since Stewart.
Since David Bailey.
I think I don't know what you guys think, but I've never seen anyone as fast and as doing something extra out there that no one else saw as Stewart. Even when he was on the 125, the 250 guys would finish their practice session, hand the bike to the mechanic, go sit in the rider section and watch Stewart on his 125.
Yeah.
Like, forget the pits, I want to see what he does. And that never really changed until the 450s came along, and that's just more inertia. You make a mistake and you're down. So since James, I haven't seen anybody quite as just unbelievably gifted and skilled and smart with his helmet on. Put it that way. He didn't say that about himself as Jen. So can he do it this year? Probably, but Eli can definitely do something about it. Sexton can do something about it. Webb, if he's close, can do something about it. So, it's hard to, it's really cool as a fan right now to watch it. I'm looking at the kind of depth of talent that I think people were looking at when they were watching us in the 80s. Where it was Hannah, you, me, Barnett, Machine. It was like so many of us that could win, and it's back to that, it looks like to me.
Well, and you and I were talking about it. It's going to be who manages their bad day the best. And right now, that's Eli. Eli went down, came back to 5th. Sexton went down, came back to 7th. Jen went down, fell down again, got to 13. So you have to have that attitude, I think, with the starts and where it is, that you have to salvage the first turn. My goal when I was with you or with you, if I could be in the top 5 and I had you within distance, if I was better than you that night, I could beat you. If I wasn't going to beat you anyways. But I never took I'm in this spot. If I get the great jump, I'm going to get the whole shot. If I don't, I'm going to come out 15. And so, but what's your guys' thoughts? Of course, I'll tell you my opinion on all these things that they got going on, from the starting grade to the whole shot device to all of that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, which one or all of them?
The great, I can live with that.
Me too.
Not that it's, up to me, but that's fine, I understand that. But the fork start device, no, man, you're just taking the paintbrush out of the artist's hand. Let them figure it out. Because the bike is already so good.
So fast.
And the way that, I think that, isn't it when they take off and do practice starts, the computer or whatever that remembers the best one? So it's not all them. They got to go through the motions, but it's taken away the rider's skill and ability to go from a dead stop to super fast with guys right next to you. You can't mess up. The reaction's got to be there, but smooth. And then you go from great to slippery gate to dirt and weird rut, all like right off the bat. And so that adds to the skill, but the bike is doing it for you more than ours did. And then with your front end locked way down, I think that's a little bit dangerous. I mean, I wouldn't like that. And then when I watch him go into the corner, I can see weird stuff happening, especially in the 250 class. And I think they should leave that alone, let the bike do its own thing, let the rider make up for that. And the other thing that it does is everybody launches evenly. And so that's a cluster.
Yeah, there's more pileups in the first turn because of
I
that,
don't like
for sure.
it. I think they should just leave it alone. And then I saw this stupid thing.
Yeah, super launcher thing.
I mean, it's a good idea for whoever did it. I'm not knocking that guy, but is it really necessary?
No, the wheel is like an inch from the fender.
Yeah, and these guys, it's not their fault. They're doing what they got to do. And if it's available, they're going to do it. They want every advantage. But as a fan and having done it, I wish I would just go back a little bit.
40s?
Yeah. I'm just wondering if it hurts, because like you said, when it's so far down, they don't come up a lot of the times until they get in. So when you get on the brakes, you've got no feel in the front, because it's not going down like you're feeling it go down, it's already down, which I think takes away, you're already almost in a nose wheelie.
Yeah.
So you're taking rear brake away from your bike slowing down as well. So you basically almost got no brakes going in the first turn. If you get on the front brake and it's already down, that back wheel's coming up. So I think it's causing a lot of people running into people. And I don't like the grate, really, because it limits the choice of picking spots, putting people in different positions. They all line up. As soon as the first person hits, it just goes from left to right. There's just no, like you said, it just makes it too simple to where we're back in our, we had to kick the dirt, build it up,
Yeah, it's fun.
fix
Watch
it,
the
you know,
video.
pack it, not pack it, clean it out. You know, there was.
You had your style, Johnny had his style. Everyone had their style. You'd go on the edge of the rut, kick that in, and it was, I think it's kind of neat for fans to see the guys out in front of the gate. Like, we're having to fix everything. And our personality came out of that a little bit. And then I would see what he was doing, and it was just neat. It was a kind of a neat part of the sport where it was like a little bit more personal. Even for the fans sitting way over there, they could still be like, there he is, look what he's doing. Look at that guy. Look how he does that. I think it was like part of the creative process that's just been, you're right about the gate. I didn't think of that as like to earn a spot, you know, and if you don't earn that spot, now you got a crooked, stupid rut out there. Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So for me, I'm not totally against the grate because it makes it consistent because of the stuff. But one of the things that I said to Carmichael when I was coaching him with the last round between Bubba and Chad Reed and him was condition over position, because we had a race in San Francisco that was so muddy, and Stefan Roncada came from the last chance, started all the way on the outside. No one had started there all night, and he ripped the whole shot because there wasn't the big rut and all the different stuff. So the condition was better than the position. What I don't like about the main thing that I don't like about the whole shot devices is the speed. I mean, these are 450s with a ton of horsepower. These guys are wide open. They're mapped everything perfect. And when they go, I mean, it looks like they're going about 50 miles an hour going into that first turn. All right. And so now you got 20 guys next to you, and and once again, your suspension is tucked up. So your steering head angle is steep and it starts to go. Back wheel gets light, like Wardy was saying. So I would like to see them get rid of that. If everybody has it, why do you have it?
Everybody.
Get rid of it, you know, so get rid of it and make it to where there's some separation.
Separation.
Between going into the first turn and once again working on your technique. Now they are working on their technique and their timing, and they're doing everything to be the best that they can be with what they're doing. So as you said,
I saw a funny thing, and it was kind of like a parallel, because they got the foot things and the fork thing and the grate and the electronic, whatever. And it's so much stuff, like just prepare for the start instead of just going out there and fixing the dirt. You know, and I saw a video of a guy like in baseball, and after he like got walked, he took off his elbow pad and his wrist pad and his shin pad, and it was like all this crap put on plate before he even made it down to first. And it's getting like that now with Supercross, like just to get prepared to the start. I don't know that it needs to be that complicated.
Agreed. Alrighty, now let's talk about the lights on the West Coast. Degan, you a fan or not a fan? I'm gonna let you go first. Did I give it away?
For a little while, I'll be honest, I was like, well, you better be fast. You got everything. I had everything. You know, I grew up in Winnebago. I was all in. And my dad was a teacher and had done well. And I got to ride at the track. I got to ride at Daytona when no one else did. I had everything handed to me. But you have to actually make it happen. You just can't have it handed to you and then it's just paint by numbers and then you're good. You have to perform. And so for a little while there, I kind of had an attitude a little bit about it. Like, first of all, he's pretty lippy and then he's had it all handed to him. But I'll give it total credit that he had to put up with the pressure that was on him, the pressure he put on himself, and make it work, and he does. And to see him some of the aggressive stuff that he does, some of the smooth stuff he does. He seems to have all the things, but he's in a hurry. And I don't blame him, he's young. And he'll learn how to be like you were and Roczen and those guys, and when to go fast and when to lay up a little bit. He's been humbled a little bit the first couple of rounds, and I think he'll kind of grow up right in front of us. He already has, and I'm impressed because I think if he was on a 450, he'd already be a tough guy at the front. And I'm kind of bummed out he's in the 250 class, to be honest. I think he's that good already. 40?
Yeah, I agree with everything David said. We used to hang out with him a little bit, right in his place over here with the kids, and he's been talented since he's been on 50s. He's won everything. He's always had the mentality of winning. Yeah, he's young, said stuff probably that he shouldn't have said, but he backs it up with winning, which is, there's been a lot of riders that have done that, so you got to give him slack for that. But yeah, I talked to his dad. He was, even last year they called me because he was having problems with what to eat between motos. You know, I get a call from Brian, and what did you used to eat? What did you used to eat? And then there'd be like, and the heat, what did you do with the heat? You know, how did you do the heat? So they're still learning. I mean, even though this kid is just, you know, all he knows is how to go fast, there's a lot of other stuff that has to get put in place to be ready for each week. And you know, they don't have all the answers. And I think, you know, this is just another learning lesson for him right now. You know, his first couple races is home with him, like you said. He's done some great interviews the past, you know, but he's still a Degan.
Yeah.
He's gonna show up. He's gonna show up somewhere, you know, and do something outlandish and outlandish. But I'm impressed by him. I think, like you said, he could jump into he's a big kid. He's gotten strong. He trains. He's not afraid to train. He puts in the probably more than anybody out there. I think, you know, riding wise, he just keeps riding and riding. So. Yeah, I expect him to bounce back, but like you said, though, the pressure keeps building. Each race you don't, you know, then, you know, you put yourself in a bigger hole, and then it's going to become desperation time, and then maybe that's when he rides his best. I don't know.